was lucky enough to be raised by a mother who was not only her family's historian, but also my dad's family's history. And I can remember as a teenager, people phoning up my mother and they'd say, I got your number from so and so, Mrs. Alldred. I was told that you might tell me something about my parents and my grandparents and my great grandparents. And my mother would be on the phone rhyming off information for them for 45 minutes to an hour with people that she'd never even met.
So she had kind of memory.
Yeah, she did have a tremendous memory. And so I came by it naturally.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Hopefully we can have progression at a greater rate than has been in the past. Hopefully, the buildings inside that ring circle will all be saved and restored. I would not be surprised if I live long enough to see all those buildings down and demolished. Simple parkland and a plaque here and a plaque there to explain what had been. And hopefully not, and we'll work very hard to not let that happen, but it may progress to that. Well, to get more interest in it, you've got to have more people turn out and show an interest and take the interest that okay, I'll do this and I'll do that. You know, I'll help out. And without that increase in the number of people willing to partake and take an interest in it and work toward its proper end, then you can't raise the money without all those people. That's why we enjoy having kids come along, especially teenagers. They find out about it that even their parents didn't know very much. And they take a great interest in it. And it's very important that the kids turn out and learn that part of the history because they don't get the history in classes that we did when I was a kid. I was very fortunate to take a great interest in history, and but the First World War, the Second World War, the Crimean War. My grandfather was trained for the South African War, 1899, and it's they don't get that kind of history anymore. I guess I'll keep going with Camp 30 as much as I can, and help out wherever I can there, and want to help out with the veterans from the First World War. Keep doing them. A year ago, in the spring of 23, I found at a yard sale, I found two of the soldiers' pennies from the First World War. I may have told you about this. And they're both from veterans that came from this area. One was a man by the name of Simnick. His last name was Simnick. And they lived down on Nelson Street here in Bowmanville. And he died of his wounds caused by the war in the Bowmanville Hospital in 1922. He passed away. And I found his grave out in the Bowmanville Cemetery. And I showed several friends the bronze medallions. They're about this big around, so thick. And with the veteran's name on it. And this was given to the family after the war if he was killed and buried overseas or if he died here in Canada as a result of his injuries. And so one friend phoned me up here this fall, about 6 or 8 weeks ago now, and said, I have just bought online 2 of the Mother's Silver Crosses from the First World War, and one of them is from Mr. Simnick, Private Simnick from Bowmanville. How would you like to have it to go with your mother's bronze medallion? Great, I couldn't pass up that opportunity. It's absolute sheer luck that I get to possess both of them. And so we came to terms, and I have the medallion and the Mother's Silver Cross. Well, I found the two medallions at a yard sale here in Bowmanville. And the first thing I did was ask the man at the yard sale, "Are these relatives of yours?" And he said, "No, I have no idea who they're from." And I said, "Well, how did you get them?" "Oh," he said, "they came in a box of stuff at an auction sale about 15 years ago." And he said, "I never found out anything about them." And okay. And then we don't know where this Mother's Silver Cross, he didn't tell me who he got it from. He bought it online, and it could have been in another province somewhere. Yeah, because I know I've heard stories about this man's widow, who continued to live on Nelson Street, I think, for many years. She worked at the Bowmanville Hospital.